And town meetings of the Town of Guilford, Connecticut will be held at the Green Community Center, 32 Church Street in Guilford, Connecticut on Wednesday, May 24th, 2017 at 7:30 p.m. Due to its length, I move to waive the reading of the legal notice. Is there a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion's carried. Nominations are now in order for a moderator.
I nominate Bill Bloss. Second.
Mr. Bloss is nominated. Are there any further nominations?
Will the nominations be closed?
Nominations are closed. Those in favor of Mr. Bloss say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Bloss is elected moderator.
Thank you very much and welcome everybody. It is really, honestly great to see so many people out to a town meeting, a town function like this. I know for many of you it may be a first. Hopefully it won't be a last, although I suppose many of you hope it'll be a last on this particular issue, but we'd like to invite you back to budget meetings and some of the other things that we do in town. I'd like to first explain just very briefly about what this meeting can accomplish and will accomplish and what it will not accomplish. Tonight we have a form of town meeting style of government in the town of Guilford. It's not like back in colonial times where the community would get together like this and decide budgetary issues in itself. We made an accommodation, a change to reflect more modern times, where technically the referendum that we have on the budget, the referendum that will happen on this particular issue, is considered to be a continuation of the town meeting. So in other words, when you walk into the polling place next week, that is technically under our charter part of the town meeting. So we are meeting here for two purposes. Well, three purposes, really. One is to have questions answered about the particular proposal. Second, to offer people an opportunity to comment on the proposal, either for or against. And third, to adjourn this meeting. Not to terminate it, but to adjourn the meeting to the referendum, which again is considered to be part of this town meeting. So there will not be any substantive votes tonight, either for or against the proposal. There is only one vote that people will take, and that is to whether or not to adjourn the meeting. That is all substantively that's going to happen. There's one other motion that I would like to propose, that there would be, the meeting has already voted to waive the reading of the legal notice, and I would like to ask for a motion that the reading of the resolution to be presented at the referendum be waived, and that the full text of the resolution be available to all in attendance at the meeting, and that it be incorporated into the minutes of the meeting. So is there a motion to that effect? Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. That just saved about 20 minutes. So what I would like to propose, there are a significant number of people here that have been involved in this project in one form or another. Attorney Norbert Church is here, who has been, I guess I would call him special counsel to the town of Guilford on trying to move this forward. There is a representative of Connecticut Water Company here, and there is a representative of the engineering company that has been involved in this project also here. They are available to answer questions. There are members of the Board of Finance, and obviously Mr. Mazza here is from the First Selectman, and there are other members of the Selectmen if people have questions about something that might be within their jurisdiction. I would like to propose first that Mr. Church, Attorney Church, just give us a very abbreviated, brief summary of what the referendum question is going to be and what the project entails, and then open it up to the floor for questions from you on any of the aspects that we've talked about, and then to move to comment either for or against. So, Mr. Church, if you'd like to please come up.
Thank you. Good evening, all. Some of you have been through this for quite a number of years, and then I'm sure there are people in the room who maybe are hearing about this and learning about it for the first time tonight. So this is aimed particularly at those of you who might not have heard about this in the past. So the history here, and I'll have Dennis Johnson, our health director, fill in a little bit for me as well. But briefly, there's been a very long history of water issues in the Mulberry Point and Tuttle's Point area. And those issues are either lack of water, where wells go dry in the summer, or water quality in terms of chemicals and minerals that are in the water that are very corrosive and causes homeowners to have special treatment facilities in their homes to be able to treat the water to make it even drinkable. And Dennis can address later on in questions some of the studies that have been done in terms of water samples, but it has been well documented over the years that there is lack of water and very poor water quality in those two neighborhoods. So we've been working on trying to determine how we would get the water to those neighborhoods, and as you can well imagine, it's an expensive project. The Connecticut Water Company services certain areas of Guilford, and they have a water main that comes down Vineyard Point Road and services areas of Sachem's Head, and that is where we would tap in. So on the map that is here, there is I'm pointing to the top of the map, which is a little bit too far for me to step away from the microphone, but the water comes in from the upper part of the map at the very top. At the very, very top is Old Sachem's Head Road. And then it comes in from Old Sachem's Head Road across private property, 3 private properties, to the very top of Lower Road. And the very top of Lower Road is... Then the proposed water main would travel down Lower Road to Daniel Avenue, would extend across Daniel Avenue, and then connect to town roads on the other side of this little creek that runs through there. And at the bridge is where it then becomes a town road. By the way, there's an easement that we had to acquire from the Long Cove Association that owns Lower Road. So then we travel Daniel Avenue, we reach a town road, and then from the town road we hit private roads again at Mulberry Point and Tuttle Point. And we acquired easements from those two associations to lay water mains underneath their roads. There was one other private property owner who we acquired an easement from, and that is one on Daniel Avenue. And he's allowed the family has allowed the water main to travel along the edge of their front yard adjacent to Daniel Avenue so that we can kind of connect from A to B to get the water to where we need it to go. All said and done, we are anticipating providing water to 145 homes in the Tuttle's Point, Mulberry Point, and upper part of Lower Road neighborhoods. There will be a few other homes that the water main goes by that will not be part of what we're going to call the primary service area, which is the 145 some odd homes. However, any of those homes that have frontage on the water main, if they wish to hook up at a later date, they will be able to do so and pay an assessment, which I'll go into next, an assessment to pay for bringing the water main in. So the way this works is we have estimates so far that this is going to cost $3.9 million. And we have been working very closely with the Connecticut Water Company, and we entered into an agreement with the water company where they would fund part of the project if it was demonstrated that a certain percentage of homeowners of the 145 homes would commit to water service. And the way they did that was they sent out just a few months ago a questionnaire to those homeowners and said, do you fill this out, sign your name on it, let us know, do you want to hook up to water or don't you? And if you do, return the questionnaire to us with $250, which would be the deposit toward your eventual water service. And that was the way for the water company to kind of get a handle on if we build it, will they come and will they use it? And it turned out that to date we have a little over 80% of the homeowners in these three neighborhoods have sent back their $250 deposits. And on that basis, the water company had given us sort of a scaled, if we had a certain percentage, like 40% of the homeowners willing to sign up, they would contribute X number of dollars. If it was over 60%, it was X plus. And if it was over 80%, they would commit $1,500,000 toward the project. So that means that the net cost of this will be reduced to $1.9 million and change. And here's the very important part of all of this, and part of the reason you are here tonight, and one of the things that you're going to have to vote on next Wednesday by voting machines, it will be your ballot, is voting on this resolution. And it's a resolution, in essence, to bond the project. And it would be the resolution, if you have the handouts, is for $3.4 million. So that gives the town the bonding authority to bond all of that if they needed to. It is customary practice, according to our bond counsel, that you authorize bonding for the entire cost of the project, even though we are anticipating that with the water company contribution, the project is going to be $1.9 million. Now, of that $1.9 million, and we're using that number because that's where on our best guesstimates, what we think the project will cost at the end of the day. And when the project is completely done, all the numbers are in for all the expenses, for the engineering work, the contracting work, the legal work, anything else that goes into making this project happen. That is, and again, assuming that we're, by way of example, we're talking $1.9 million, that then gets divided by the 145 homeowners who are serviced by the water, and they will receive an assessment. So based on that number, we are projecting that their assessment will be $13,400 per household. Again, this is just for the 145 homes that are being served. That would be paid back by them over 20 years at 2% interest. And it is projected that over 20 years they will pay approximately $670 per year toward paying down the assessment, again over 20 years. So the important part of this for everyone to understand that what you're voting on is a bonding resolution so the town can bond, raise money for the project if they need to, but that money gets paid back over 20 years, 2% interest by the 145 homeowners who are served, and potentially by any other homes that are along the route of the pipe, which we think right now might be another 6, 7, or 8, if those folks elect later on to join in, and they would also pay the same assessment. So that's what we're voting on, and that's my background, sort of from the legal point of view. One other thing is in the resolution that you vote on next week at the voting machines, is it not only includes the bonding, but it also includes the acceptance of the 7 easements that are mentioned in your package. I've acquired the easements. They are being held in escrow. So assuming the bonding package is approved, the easements come out of escrow, we record the easements on the land records, and then that kind of lays the groundwork for what happens next in terms of the engineering work that still has to be done, in terms of putting the contract out to bid and getting construction schedule and seeing the project to conclusion. So that's my presentation. And can I have, is it all right if I have Dennis Johnson come up? Dennis, if you can come up and fill in a few more blanks for us. And what will happen again, as Bill mentioned, is I will be here after the presentation to answer questions, as will Dennis, as will the water company, our engineer, and other town officials.
Thank you, Norm. I'm Dennis Johnson from the town of Guilford, from the Health Department. Norm did a really thorough job on explaining the project. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. I think you mentioned earlier that the project cost was 3.9, but it's actually 3.4. I know you corrected it, so thank you. The project is partly being funded by the State Drinking Water Revolving Fund program, which is a federal clean water program that funnels money to states for projects such as water main extensions and for building of treatment plants. So the money is guaranteed from the federal government to the state health department, and we have applied for the loan, and we have been put on their priority and their needs list. So we are locking ourselves into that contract. The project you expected probably to take maybe a year and a half to 2 years to complete once they start putting the shovels in the ground. It kind of depends upon weather conditions and how much rock they have to remove. The unique thing about this project is that when the water mains are all installed, the residents can hook up to the water main as it goes by your house. They can complete the project to certain points, then flood the water line, and those residents who are hooked up can get water. And then the water main can be extended another mile, and those people can hook up to it also. So if you're early, in the construction process, you would probably be the first to hook up. Another thing, too, I wanted to add is that when you hook up to a water main, you have to usually abandon your well. But if you don't want to abandon your well, say if you want to keep it for irrigation purposes or something, then you'd have to physically disconnect that well from your whole house plumbing. But most people generally will abandon their wells and hook up to the water main project. And then one last thing, as Norm alluded to, some studies we had done. We had sampled, at the request of the State Health Department, they wanted us to update some water samples in the area, the groundwater quality. So last January and February, we collected 31 samples, I believe, from homes in the area, kind of random samples, and we found that about 75% of the wells had contaminants present in them, which just kind of reconfirmed what we've known for a long time, that the groundwater in the area does have elevated amounts of sodium and chloride and nitrates and bacteria in some cases. And then there's also the whole group of wells that have problems with yield and quantity that dry up in the summer. So I think that kind of completes a good summary of the project. We're on target right now with our schedule, and if we have a successful referendum vote, then the next step would be to start designing the water main, which can take 2 to 3 months to complete, and then that part gets submitted to the State Health Department and to the Connecticut Water Company for approval, and then we'd go out to bid. So that's a nutshell of the project, and I guess at this point, if there's any questions, our group can try to field them.
Okay, so we'll now turn to discussion questions and then comments. Just as a matter of formality, though, I need someone, actually, before we begin discussion on the resolution, that somebody needs to, will somebody please move the resolution presented under item 1 of the notice? Is there a motion to that effect? One, seconded? Okay, thank you. There will not be a vote on that until next Tuesday, but I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, questions. I'm sorry, Wednesday. Did I say Tuesday? I'm just used to referendum being on Tuesday, but so that's a little tricky. A week from today. So questions at this point. If you have questions either of Mr. Church or the water company or the engineering company or any of the town officials, Mr. Johnson or town officials that are responsible for this, please let me know. There's 2 ways to do it. Some people like to come up to the podium and address whoever you're addressing from here. That's fine. If you feel uncomfortable coming up here, that's fine too. Just say it loud enough I can hear it. I'll repeat it so that the microphone will pick it up and the recording will pick it up, and we'll try to get it answered. So first of all, questions, not comments, but questions. Yes?
I have one question. If the 6 or 7 potential people do sign up for it, they would be assessed the same $13,500.
Okay, the question is if the 6 or 7 additional people who are potentially customers sign up, would their assessment be the same as in?
No, that's not the end of my
The
question.
assessment for the other people?
No, their $13,500. Do the rest of us who have already signed up, then do we have to pay less or?
Okay, do you understand, Mr. Church? What happens if there are additional customers that are not in the formula now? Do the assessments go down for the existing customers? Okay.
So the question again was, we're talking about the other additional customers who have frontage on the pipe who might want to join in later on. They would pay the same approximately $13,400 assessment as everyone else. What I would recommend for any of those folks who are on that line, who are thinking now about the possibility of wanting to hook up to the project, that they let us know and get in on it now. Because, for example, if we're dividing it, the total cost of the project by 150 homes versus 145, it's a lower amount for everyone. So,
Just curious if it would work that way. I know it won't make a big difference, but I was just curious if it would reflect on the other homeowners.
So once, at the very end of the project, once the number is set of what it will cost per household, that is the number that'll carry forward for eternity, so that if there's someone who's on that route who 19 years from now wants to hook up, they're going to pay the same amount that everyone else paid at the very beginning of the project. Okay.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, my question,
Sir, come on.
you'll have to repeat it.
You just give your name.
It's still Bill Rowan.
Who's the question? I mean, whatever the question
Okay,
is.
well, it's similar to the question that you had, that if there is a $1.9 million cost, and that's divided by 145, I assume the vast majority of that money is towards tearing up roads, putting in pipes, blasting whatever is needed. It's an overall cost, and then a smaller percentage of that is actually connecting it to the property. Does that make sense? So that's the core of my question. I need to kind of qualify that first.
So I have to come back up here so that you all can hear me on the microphone and the camera can pick up the answer. So all the soft costs, all the hard costs go into that $1.9 million. I think your question is, who pays for hooking up from the house to the water main? Yes, no?
Okay. Let me rephrase the question. So if it costs roughly $13,000 for each of 145 homes to connect, totaling $1.9 million, including all the soft costs, and you're saying, say, a year later, we find that 10 more families want to also connect, that equates to $130,000. However, this entire project does not go up from 1.9 to now 2.1. Is my math right? So where does that excess money go to?
All right, so the project cost stays the same. It's still 1.9. If homeowners, if you get, and again, right now, it's only 6, 7, 8 potential homes that are on the route that were not part of our primary service area. So if 10 years down the road, that's when they decide to hook up and they pay their $13,400, the answer is it goes probably toward retiring any bond that much sooner, and the balance goes to the town.
To the town, but not the 145.
No.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, regarding the easements that you secured, so it says in here that it was voluntary, they gave those.
I'll repeat the question.
It's okay.
It's fine. Mr. Church, just hang out.
Hey, so I was just curious around, so the easements are voluntarily given to the town and to CW, and I know from the CWC contract, they have control of those easements following the completion of the project. So if, if people develop along, do they then, add in as they want if the town develops the water main, for one? And I guess those easement holders particularly, do they have to pay if they want to join?
Let's see. So the question was, there are 7 easements that we have altogether that over either private property or association roads in order to get the pipe to where we need to get it to. Of course, all the association roads are servicing the associations. All but one of the private easements would have the ability to hook up and would have to pay the $13,400 should they, if they were to be included in the primary service area.
Other questions? Yes, sir. In the back. Yes, sir.
Are there any controls in place to keep the cost within a certain boundary? You're using the idea that the cost is whatever it is at the end of the job. We have no sense of an actual barrier to what that might be. So I'm wondering if in fact there are some ways that that's kept under control.
So the question, if I could just summarize, is what process is there to control costs in the project to make sure they're not cost overruns? And Mr. Church is pointing to the engineering company. And did I fairly summarize the question? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Marius Jedrzakowski. I work for Wright Pierce from Middletown. We've been retained by the town of Guilford to do the engineering for the final design of the water main extension. We have not been involved in the initial study, so this is the first meeting for me as well here. So it's pretty good. So I guess the question was, what are the controls to keep the engineering and construction costs down? The construction. So the first control is to really do a good job on the design, to really predict any unknown conditions that the contractor might come back to you and ask for change order. So we do that by really doing a lot of field work. Part of the project is going to include, geotechnical exploration, where you're locating, when the ledge is located, how deep the ledge is, so we know how much he has to excavate, how much quantity of ledge has to be removed. Really working closely with Connecticut Water Company, understanding their standards and what we require to really, make sure this project is viable and, is going to last for a long time. And then also during construction, we will have a resident project representative on site who will be watching the contract, installing the water main, making sure that, all the material that was purchased for the project is being installed, make sure that the county doesn't cut any corners and everything's done per the design drawings. Because this project is also funded through the Connecticut DPH Drinking Water Fund, there'll be a Connecticut DPH representative involved on this project. They'll be making site visits, verifying that that the contractor is doing a good job, and also all the payment requisitions are in line with what the contract has been installed. So there is actually a lot of control in place that to kind of make sure the cost doesn't go up. As part of our initial study, when we started working on the project, we actually do another cost estimate. As we basically go from 0 to 50% design effort. We will update the existing cost estimate, identify any potential issues that could increase the cost during bidding. And then as we move to 75, 100% design level, we'll be updating that cost estimate and really provide the town of Guilford with a recommendation what that final number is going to be. And then if the number goes above whatever the budget is of 3.4, then there was ways to actually reduce the cost, and we'll be actually discussing that with Connecticut Water. You could actually go with maybe a HDPE pipe, which is a plastic pipe. Again, we have to make sure that meets Connecticut Water standards. But that's going to be decided at the later time, if we determine that the cost is going to be beyond the $3.4 million. So I don't know if that answers your question. Okay, sure.
Any other questions? Yes, sir. Okay.
You can tell I'm probably popular in my neighborhood, so I apologize. So you've stated publicly in a couple of situations that, and the data reflecting, the wells, and obviously polluted, no doubt, and caused by septics. And I'm looking at Dennis for this one. I know it's tough, but it's caused by septic systems, and we know that the bleed is substantial, as stated in the paper the other day. So even if 80% of the homes connect, it means that we'll put 2 million gallons of water additionally through all those wells a year. And it's pretty easy to calculate given the number of people in the homes. So that's a lot of water. And if you think about the bleed and what's happened in Old Saybrook and in Clinton, where they've been sued by DEP for just this type of bleed, and Dennis, I ask you this honestly, can you say with 100% confidence that the town of Guilford will not be sued?
If that's a question, is that a question or a comment? Anybody want to respond to that? Well, right now, okay, I don't want to say that. All right, I'm the moderator.
Our consultant could speak to. He has had to work with DEP on some of those issues in OPM.
Sure. So his question was whether connecting to public water is going to increase water usage for these properties. So again, I don't have an answer for this question. Typically what we've seen industry-wise that the water usage in residential areas has decreased. A lot of people are using, water conservation measures. Your dishwashers are being, having water conservation measures installed. Having data from Connecticut Water Company, who actually services similar communities, basically the average usage of water is 55 gallons per day per capita. And a lot of the existing septic tanks, based on, understanding from Dennis, they've been basically sized for like 150 gallons per day per person, so they've been oversized. Again, industry-wise, we see decrease in water usage. People are going to have to pay for water now, so hopefully they're going to be conscious and not really, using a lot of water because now they have to pay for it. If they're going to try to, develop the home and add on to it, they have to submit to the health department for permit to, make sure their septic tank is adequate. But there was really no guarantee that, you're not going to, make any issues to the existing, look on the sound. But there's no guarantee right now. Somebody could, have your wells running all the time and you're going to have the same problem. So there's really no guarantee.
And did you have an example of Madison being the park?
Yes, that was something that was done with collaboration with Dennis. I guess Dennis reached out to the community, and based on, they basically have public water system. They connect to the public water system. They had wells and septics, and what they've seen is actually they've seen that the water usage actually went down, and they really didn't have any issues with with their septic tanks.
Okay. And I should just say that was in Madison in the community of Garnet Park. Is that correct? Okay, good. Yes. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Will you be able to hook up if your septic system is a cesspool?
The question is, can you hook up to the water supply if the current septic system is a cesspool? Yes. The answer is yes. How about that? Okay. Other questions? Any other questions? I don't see any other hands up. Okay, so I'd like to turn then to, I think you can join Mr. Church. I'd like to turn it now to comments. This is a town meeting. Everybody has a right to speak if they wish to. I'd like to urge people, though, that to try to be respectful of time. I know in a lot of meetings they aim for trying to hold comments to 3 minutes, and which in the abstract seems reasonable. Don't want to cut anybody off. On the other hand, there are a lot of people here, and this is going to adjourn to a referendum next Wednesday regardless. So are there people that would like to make a comment about the resolution or the referendum question? If you would, I'd need you to come up here, obviously, rather than relay it. So, sure, go ahead. If there are other people that want to comment, and if you could maybe start to come over here, and so we could try to save time, that would be helpful. If you could just give your name.
You bet. Thank you. So as I said, I'm not necessarily popular in my neighborhood right now. So I live at 724 Mulberry Point Road. My name is Brian Walls, and I've tried to serve as someone looking at a responsible solution here. And I think the one fact that we all agree about, no question at all, is that everyone has a right to free water and clean water. And that means maybe not free, but at least clean. There are various ways to reach that goal. In many municipalities who've lived all over the country, they have the luxury of development growth to fund it. And understanding this is a small town and Guilford does not have the kind of growth where they can always fund the development of proper infrastructure. But it doesn't mean, that we should use it as an excuse to not do the right thing. And with even the limited data that we've seen, collected for this project, it highlights that my neighbors basically are living in their sewage. You heard me say something about 2 million gallons of water. It is based off of the 50 gallons he's talking about, and I'm only talking about a 25% increase. If you calculate that out, gang, with a 2.5, average resident per household, that's 2 million gallons of water per year we're going to pump through those dirty wells and septics. So, I don't think I'm crazy when I say that it's something we should be concerned about. Particularly when there are cost-effective solutions out there that are designed for small shoreline communities just like ours. That they do exist, they're cost-effective, and they can be utilized in these situations to clean that, not just that groundwater up. In our neighboring states, Massachusetts being primary, they have subsidized programs for these solutions. I have a problem with the fact that our town ignored a rational approach by placing what is a minimum of $3.5 million. And basically we're challenging DEP and we're saying, hey, just try and come after us. And I think that we already know, and DEP has us on their watch list. It's listed publicly and you can find it. One of our own studies that was done on Mulberry Point and Tuttle's Point, the conclusion stated that adding water before fixing the cesspools and septic systems was not recommended. So this is something we're going into not only knowing that this is out there in the public media, it's documented by an official environmental engineer. So why do we not do the choice to do the right thing? I think clearly you can see the incentive to CWC. In the town, they can they're putting the risk on us. We're taking on the risk here, and they get all the future development along that pipeline. They get all of the tax income for all the real estate. It's a huge incentive for them, and I get that. But I think that it's tough. The town has a sewer avoidance permit. If we cause a DEP lawsuit, we cost the whole town of Guilford the loss of that sewer avoidance permit. That means we have to put in sewers. And we know that that's already happening up and down the shoreline. Old Saybrook, Clinton have both been sued. And I don't believe that this is how a responsible city government should behave. Our goal for clean water is definitely just. I think we all deserve it, no question about it. But the way we're approaching this is I'm sorry, it's simple and arrogant. and I think it's fully irresponsible. So I just think that while we still have the opportunity to do the right thing, we ask the government to try and propose a solution that does the best thing by all of us. That's all. Thanks.
Other comments? Yes, sir. Just give your name and address. Sure.
Hi, my name is Mike Ivey. I own a house at 45 Faulkner Drive. We bought the house actually 20 years ago this month. We moved in with 3 young kids. We started running out of water the next month. We would run out of water. You couldn't run the washing machine. You couldn't run the dishwasher. We had 3 young kids. We ended up having the water fracked. We don't run out of water anymore. We have 2 large water softeners. I'll go through 40 pounds of potassium chloride every month for about 6 months out of the year. I go through 60 gallons of drinking water every month, all year. That's just the stuff that's just the crystal rock. That's the good one. You can't water the lawn. You can't water the plants. I mean, my plants get bottled water, or they die. The water is hard. It's salty. When they started testing it, they could not believe how hard it was. He just kept adding drops and drops and drops to try and get the color to change. It wouldn't change. I understand that. I understand the concerns about the septic. I get that. I think there's already a lot of water that goes through there, though. I understand concerns about building it up. I get that. But, we're not alone in this. There are a lot of houses and that have no choice. I mean, we've fracked the well. There are people that drill wells all around us. And what happens is when someone else fracks a well, it affects our water. And we fracked our well, it affected the neighbor's water. You talk to the well guys and they say that's not supposed to happen. It happens when there's that many wells that are that close together. There's just not the kind of water around to support it. So I'm very grateful to the town. I know that a lot of people have worked a long time for this. It's too bad Dick's not still here. He would be truly amazed that this is actually happening. So thanks to the people who've led this.
Other comments? Other comments? It appears not. All right, then, I'm sorry, yes, please.
Sue Robbins, 798 Mulberry Point Road. I just wanted to remind everybody that the town has the Coastal Resiliency Plan that they adopted and approved, and that plan promises clean, safe water to all residents, and that includes us. We have been at this a long time. There have been many studies, experts, professionals who have looked at all these questions and answers and done so at great length and a mindful response. Our town has really worked very hard for us, and this has been a 15-year struggle where we didn't really make much progress. It was alluded to that, too bad Dick isn't here. Dick Ekstrom started this many, many years ago. And we've come a long way in the last 18 months thanks to the town and the leadership with Joe Mazza and Dennis Johnson, who has spent 15 years on this project, Pam Millman, Town Council, Norb Church, and now we have more professionals with Wright Pierce. We need water now. We are struggling every day, and I'm very happy to hear that some people's wells are good, they don't have those problems, but the majority of people that spoke and sent in their money and said, I want water, they want it now, they need it now. And if anybody doesn't believe that we have a problem, come down and live in our home for 24 hours. You can't wash a load of laundry except once a week. You replace your water tanks every year. Unlike the rest of the people in the town that have a well, and they replace theirs every 20 or 30 years. We go through appliances and faucets and filters and UV lights at a great expense, and we still don't have safe, reliable water. It's time we move forward, and for those that are out there watching this between now and next week, please come out and vote for us. We need your help. And this is a town that works together when people need help. I'm asking for the many people that suffer in our 3 neighborhoods, please come out next Wednesday on May 31st and vote yes for us, because we need safe water, just like the Coastal Resiliency Plan has promised us.
Are there any other comments on the question? All right, then there are. Mr. Mazza, okay.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Bloss. Sue, you're tough to follow. But I just want to say that to all the voters who are going to watch this on the GCTV, that the referendum is next Wednesday, May 31st, and encourage you to come out and to vote in favor of this referendum. Sue said it much more eloquently than I can. People in these 2 communities need this water very badly. A couple of years ago, we had a group of students ask me what I thought was the most important part of my job. And I said, the protection of the people of Guilford. And that means police protection, fire protection, but it also means the health and welfare of the people of Guilford. And that means clean, good water. And as far as the town being sued, we get sued all the time. That's why we have an attorney on staff. That's why we have outside counsel. But the Department of Health has put us through the ringer on this project. You can ask Dennis. That's why he has more gray hair than I do. And they would not have put us on the top of the list for the Clean Water Revolving Fund if they did not believe in this project. So for God's sake, come out and vote yes. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Then I would entertain a motion that this town meeting adjourn and the resolutions presented under item 1 of the notice of meeting be submitted to vote at referendum to be held in accordance with the notice of this meeting, namely 1 week from today. Is there a motion to that effect? Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, if you just bear with me for a second. This meeting is adjourned to referendum vote on Wednesday, May 31, 2017, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. to consider the resolution presented under item 1 of the notice of this meeting. Absentee ballots will be available from the town clerk's office. Voting will be held at the following polling places: District 1, Calvin Lee Elementary School; District 2, Abraham Baldwin Middle School; District 3, Guilford Fire Headquarters; District 4, Melissa Jones Elementary School; and District 5, A.W. Cox Elementary School. This meeting is adjourned to referendum. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.